Following the victory, that was Atreyos the leader of the Speartons Season 2, Part 9. I was more than excited to see that a new part has finally dropped, and not even in the span of a single month. Atreyos, you have exceeded yourself. But so, after the victory that was Part 9, I find myself being a little disappointed by this episode. Specifically its writing, but at the same time, for the visuals, it was such an improvement for the general quality of the franchise. And I gotta say, I have some mixed opinions on this part, but we're gonna talk about them more. And why not just begin? And the first we begin, obviously, with our. So we're not focusing anymore on the villains, we are this time focusing on the heroes. And of course our important players. Now, they have embarked to the land of Juggerton, at least I believe that was what happened, but they're in Purgeland. Even the title of the episode is Purgeland, even though it exists in Inamorta, not in Juggerton. Or have I misunderstood something? That's also a possibility. But so, besides that, we get into this beautiful city with this a sort of luxurious vibe to it, accompanied by this banger on the back. But yeah, besides this, there isn't much yet that we can talk about as Troy having this jokey, this copyright fiasco that surrounded the release of this episode. We can hear some reflecting on that there, actually. But yeah. We cut into the scene where Troy and Atreyos try to buy themselves something to drink, until a woman with Midas gold cloak appears, and for some reason tackles Troy on the ground. But then they realize she has a fusion matrix under her carriage, and so she does something Diro has never been able to do. Land a hit on Atreyos. Speaking of the villains, we keep chasing this woman for a while, until the scouts of Baron arrive. And I really hate this part, because not only does it doesn't even try to make an attempt to look our villains look cool or threatening. It just tries to make them actively look like jokes. Really? Yeah, this is what I meant about being disappointed by. Besides from this part not having as good writing as Part 9, but just the fact that these villains are just not presented as something I believe they would finally become. Actual cool threats that I can be afraid of. But no, that doesn't happen. But back on track. Let's just say jade-bladed armor. Jade-bladed armor. That's not even a word. A man in jade armors appear, and so they kick the Baron's troops' asses. For it's not that good, because. Sure, this is to set up the King of Purgeland. I don't remember his name at the time, but so it does make him look cool, and we even get a little backstory about him. But that's besides it. I just can't like this. But so that's besides the point. We see that this woman is actually one of one of his servants, and suddenly when Kratos was it his name, recognizes Nevi, this episode can probably start, and we get brought into Kratos' castle, and so we can get into the most important scene of this episode, the window of the forecast. It's about 3 windows with mosaics in them about the events of the forecast, the creation of the fusion matrix, the creation of powerful V, and the battle against it, lithium sacrifice. And then suddenly, when it is confirmed that the forecast will repeat itself, we see a continuation of it, where Nevi, Atreyos, and Baron are. Atreyos and his boys, of course. And this really tries and wants to be Nevi's episode, but the problem is, Nevi has not had any sort of screen time up until this point. He doesn't do any decisions by his own self, and he has just been this along for the ride plot device the whole time before this scene, so it really falls flat because I really haven't yet created a proper connection to him, and I get it. He wants to be free from the he wants to be free from the magical legacy of lithium. He just wants to be a normal man, but come on. This could have been built up so much better other than him just being this, oh yeah, the grandson of, no, not the nephew of lithium. And that's it. That's literally it. And he doesn't do anything by his own head. He doesn't make his own decisions. Nevi is just so forgettable. Even I dare to make, while I was making my critique over Diro, the video about why Diro is not that good of a villain, I was about to I mistook the name of Nevi and Diro and on accident mixed them together, and so even when I was planning making all this review, I ended up mixing Diro on the behalf of Nevi. Like, that's how forgettable he is to me. And speaking of plot devices, while I have ranted over Nevi not being that good of a plot device, he's just here to move the plot, and that's it. After the plot has moved to the direction it wants because of Nevi, he just completely sidelined. And he doesn't even get any sort of scenes of weakness like Ares did in part 8, for example. And that's sad, because I ranted enough, but this is just so weird to me, because Nevi sits in the next of Atreyos, a good plot device. Why Atreyos then works? Because he's actively moving the plot towards the direction it has to, and so yeah, he's a plot device, and also, but the difference is, he's a lot more active plot device. He actually has a personality that Nevi doesn't have, and he constantly causes new directions for the plot, unlike Nevi. He just doesn't work. Nevi, I mean. And that's sad, because this scene could have worked. Because, speaking of the visuals of this part, they're fucking spectacular. This is the most cinematic the comic has ever gotten. The camera shifts, the angles, and all these new all these new areas, these new surroundings we go through, they are really cool. And the color schemes are rich. Just the mosaic itself, it's beautiful, but it's just torn down by this subpar writing after part 9. An emotionally compelling part, compelling story with its own great character. And this just falls flat. Because it's followed by the best part of the whole comic, I would say. And yeah, it is unfortunate, but I just can't change it anymore. It is unfortunate that it feels like these visuals have been wasted because of Nevi. Like, don't prove me wrong. There is nothing yet wrong. If Nevi actually starts to be the focus, if we can actually get screen time for Nevi, if we can get him, let's say, a character arc, anything, so that we can actually remember him and care a little bit more than just, oh yeah, human being having a hard time, of course I'm gonna care about it. But we don't know who Nevi even actually is as a person. Like, calm down. But besides it, by some few smart moves, you can save this. And this comic has been darn perfect when doing those fixing maneuvers. Let's call them that. Fixing maneuvers. Fixating maneuvers. Whatever. And the one complaint I had over part 9, which was that the music didn't fit at all to the tone. This part introduces new music outside of Stick War to these scenes, which are not flashbacks or even the end credits. So it's not all that bad. Like, new music, better visuals than ever before, even cooler ones. Like, this is actually fucking trying. What can I say? I love it. But the writing just pulls it down. Especially when it's this wasted. Also, after the mosaic is revealed, Gartos gives this short monologue over how he has created this castle with the help of people and how they have prospered, and how Birdland has prospered. I was a bit disappointed that we didn't hear any sort of connection for Baron, because Baron's troops were there. So, well, they weren't destroyed by Baron, so not at all that bad, but could have even made a mention of it. Or perhaps he did, but it's just not yet even made clear who that was. But I can be very sure that it is Baron. But hey, we'll get to that. So, next, our team is finally offered a full-on meal after 2 days, Troy explains. They have eaten just corn by Zia. Is it weird that Zia has not had yet a single line in this episode? Like, okay, a reoccurring theme with this part is that many of the characters, the important players, for example, only Atreyos the Golden Spearton, Troy and his new friend, they are the only ones who actually get a proper line in this part. Besides Nevi, of course. But that was kind of weird. but besides that, okay, there is one we have not yet even talked about because the scene is not yet happened, but we'll get to that. And it's going to be about Ares once again. And when we have a quick chat about where this meat has come from, I'm thinking, is IDN building up for Clicky here? Don't know, perhaps. Due to how accurate the description of the dinner happens to be. to click his backstory. Okay, back one point. King Rados just pulls out of thin air another fusion matrix. How many fusion matrices Lithium even created? He has two. The Kimbus had one, and now we suddenly get two more. 5 fusion matrices already at this point. And of course, Princess Midas, that's her name, also gives the fusion matrix she had in the marketplace. And also, she decides to join to our important players group, because she decided to leave home because Baron's coats, she wants to get rid of them. She had wanted to make it a payment here, and I get it. This is kind of weird. I'm excited for new characters, but we already have so much new characters that who had to constantly keep competing for screen time. That I'm kind of afraid that this is getting overwhelming, that we don't get enough focus for them. But let's not get too negative. After the dinner, and also Nevi combines the fusion matrices. Okay, that makes sense. That's the only thing that I can actually care about what Nevi does besides this point, other than just escaping from Baron's citadel. Lithium had two fusion matrices, so it makes sense that he can fuse them also together. And how Lithium taught how to do that, because he had two fusion matrices to begin with. Is there a way to undo this fuse? Of course, because how can you pull 2 to 1 and pull 1 to 2? Okay. We are already at the end of this part, and so we get this little scene for Atreyos that I already mentioned about. This little girl who says, "Are you one of these heroes who are going to save the island of Chagodon?" Oh yeah, we are in Chagodon. Alright, good. Are you going to save the island of Chagodon? And Atreyos, of course, says, "No, I'm not gonna save it. I'm here just because I've been shackled all around, and I'm not one of these heroes, even though I am with them. They have shackled me, and I don't want to help them." I was kind of surprised that this kind of undoes the impact of part 6, but what else? Like, what the fuck? You're just regressing your character development, am I right? Or just, maybe not, I just might have misrepresented the part 6 for a bit wrong, but you still got my point. But besides this line, I like this little scene. And it really tries to make Atreyos feel like an actual person who just doesn't change because, look. Oh yeah, he something snapped in his head, and look, now he's on the side of our heroes. No, he's still kind of his old self, but at the same time, I would believe not. The evil side of him will forever be alive after season 1, but there's still something that can be redeemed, and that's besides the point. That the girl makes it out that she thinks that Atreyos is just a little scary, but nothing too important, nothing too big. That I don't think you belong to them. You don't belong along with them. There is nothing like that, and it kind of works. But that scene having been over, Princess Midas joins with our lines, and King Rados provides a nice little escort to us. We can end part 10 to a cliffhanger, which Honestly, it's better than we have ever gotten. Where Atreyos says, we finally gotten 2 new powerful allies. And Baron, you sure had to be wary of us, because we will take you down. That's really good. But so part 10 over. Great visuals, new musical expansion, cinematical expansion, all that good. But writing-wise, not really. It's really just taken down by its previous episodes, but besides that, it's not all that bad. It could have been better though, if the comic would have handled Nevi a lot better. But now we can actually get to the rating of this episode. 7.5 out of 10. This is a very rewatchable episode, I would say that. But there just isn't. It just doesn't hit the same emotional beats as the previous parts, and there just is something so. There's just lacking this strong writing and all that. It's not bad by any means. 7.5 out of 10. I would still consider is very good grade, but it's just not as good as it could have been, or the previous parts. It's just unfortunate. But hey, this being over, to my top 3 rating. Hey, all of you, come here. Oh, did you brought some friends? An honor to meet such a great king in your wonderful kingdom. Wait, who he even is? We don't know him. Why would we kneel? Just do it. Wait, aren't you the boy that are in the window forecast? Wait, I thought you said you don't want and prefer to stay here. Why so suddenly? Well, to be honest, I'm here because I'm trying to get rid of those Bloodblade scouts, and now I have nowhere to go. After all, you also taken my matrix, so I have the right to come with you as the payment. We will be happy to accept you and help those who want to find their way, as long as it's the good and truth. You can ride with the empty cart with Thera there. Thank you very much, General. I swear I will be a useful group member for you. Now there are 2 new allies standing on my side, and maybe even more in the future. Just you wait, Baron. We'll come for you.